I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati, Rick in Detroit. Convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude. Strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game. Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes. Craig Pettis in the M-Town. Sal Magluta with the boat game. Falcone with the cocaine. Like Freeway Ricky with the plug game. Like Monster Cody in South Central. Larry Davis from close range.
Picture a no man's land with broken windows, dark abandoned buildings, no law and order. There are carefully demarcated areas controlled by rival bands of armed militia fighting over the rubble. Nearly every night there's sniper fire. It sounds like Beirut, but in fact it's America, a creature of state, local, and federal government, the product of bad politics, failed policy, and official neglect. It exists unseen except by those who live there, a stone's throw away from some of the most valuable real estate in our nation's third largest city. What's it like here? What's the neighborhood like?
Like a bad neighborhood.
Dangerous?
Yes.
Can you tell when somebody's going to shoot?
Yes. They just grab their gun and just start shooting.
10-1 at 10-1, 116-1.
One time they came over this way, and then they saw this lady, and she said something to them, and then she had a big hole in her head when they killed her.
They shot her.
I don't know what they did.
Did you see her?
Yes.
How often do you hear gunshots?
Too often.
Johnny Shannon is 10 years old. He lives within walking distance of Chicago's Gold Coast, but it's several worlds away. His home is Cabrini-Green, a name at once both saintly and sylvan. It is neither.
When I first came here, it reminded me of Vietnam.
It's been called a city within a city, the most notorious public housing project in America. Dennis Davis patrols it for the Chicago police.
Drive straight through.
Built in the 40s and 50s, it was supposed to provide safe, inexpensive, integrated housing for people trying to save money to buy a house. Today, it's 70 acres of no man's land, void of legitimate enterprise, with its own laws and its own language.
Now, this building is called The Rock.
The Rock?
Yeah, The Rock.
Why do you call it The Rock?
It's like the Rock of Gibraltar. You know, it's there, you can't get to it, and it's the strongest thing in Cabrini. There's normally a sentry. He's standing right there in front of 1150 now.
What's he looking for?
Police. They're selling drugs from the lobby. He'll see us when we make the turn, and if they're dealing, he'll just walk away into the building. And once they get into the building, that's it. We won't find them.
Cabrini is part of the worst public housing system in the country. So bad that 2 years ago, the federal government threatened to take it over. The Chicago Housing Authority doesn't even know who lives in its buildings, but 100,000 people are waiting to get in. The only structure is provided by the gangs, who mark their turf with spray paint and set up sniper posts in high-rise buildings. The working poor Cabrini was designed for have long since fled, leaving the desperate alongside the helpless.
And I don't give a damn how hard you try to teach your kids to walk a straight line. Those game bangers are the role model for these children in this neighborhood.
60% of the households here are headed by single women. Patricia Welch is one of them, trying to raise 3 boys. 2/3 of Cabrini's residents are children. What's it like living here?
Hell.
Why hell?
Because you don't know if a bullet gonna come through your window. You don't know while you're going to the store if you're gonna be shot at, or your children be hurt in any kind of way.
When was the last time they were shooting here?
Well, my building last night.
Do you think your mother worries about you living here?
Yes.
Why?
Because when you go outside, there's bad things happening out there.
What's the closest you've ever come to getting hurt by the gangbangers?
Well, one time I was playing in the playground. They just started shooting back and forth.
What do you do when you hear shooting?
I run.
We're in a battle. We're in a battle with the gangs for those youngsters.
Bob Martin heads the Chicago Intervention Network, a city agency that works with gangs.
We have what we call marginal youth, or what some gang members call trophies.
Why trophies?
They are children that are born out of wedlock, that the fathers oftentimes brag about how many youngsters they have, how many sons they have. And the code word for son is trophy. That is the next wave of gang members coming up. And when you hear gang members say, "You'll never stop the gangs," you can't stop us. We are a nation. That's what they're referring to.
When you think of Cabrini, you can look right out my window and see it. It's only 6 blocks. But it's a cancer that can spread into every neighborhood in the city of Chicago.
Cabrini first gained notoriety in 1981, when then Chicago Mayor Jane Byrne briefly took an apartment there.
I'm going to straighten out project living in this city, because by allowing it, we can harm the whole city, and I'm not going to have it.
By most accounts, Byrne spent 1 or 2 days a week there for 6 months, and then Cabrini once again fell into neglect. Today, the housing authority is $30 million in debt. The building codes are not being enforced, and the elevators, when they work, are called the most dangerous form of public transportation in Chicago.
Do the gangs control the elevators?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they can control them. At one time, they, as a matter of fact, they were hiding up here. And if a young lady got on the elevator, they would jump down and, do what they wanted to do to her. They used to hide guns up there.
This is 11.
That's 11?
Right.
Okay.
It's pretty dark out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, that's another thing about these elevators, because you never know what's going to happen when the door opens.
Just watch my back.
Where'd he get shot?
Well, he probably got shot somewhere around here.
Last year, 200 people were shot or stabbed in Cabrini. 8 violent crimes for every 100 people.
How long ago did he get shot?
Oh, just a real short time ago. He was shot by some fellows across the way here as he crossed the field.
Did you know this kid?
Oh, yeah, for about 4 years.
In 5 years, Brother Bill Tomes has seen 65 of his friends shot or stabbed. He's an emissary from the Archbishop of Chicago, a peacekeeping force of 1 who roams Cabrini at night, helping women and children negotiate the free fire zones.
Are you trying to save souls here?
No, we're trying to show God's love for people.
You're trying to keep people alive.
I think we're trying to keep people alive, yeah.
Those are pretty low expectations.
Oh, I don't know. Keep somebody alive.
Brother Bill, y'all be cool, man. Y'all be careful.
Most of the kids, for example, have been shot. Almost all of them have been shot.
Yeah, it's my brother. They killed my brother.
Is sudden violent death just sort of accepted here, something that happens?
Well, it's expected to happen in this kind of environment, and you never know when it's going to. It could be right now.
In fact, it was 15 minutes later. Brother Bill and the paramedics were called to attend to a stabbing victim. But they failed to achieve their modest goal.
Very serious. Stay out of the way. Stay out of the way. We're going to get out of here.
Is my child alive? I want to know. I want to know. My God.
Her son died in the elevator.
God.
Who controls this area? Does the police control it?
Yeah, we control it. Yes.
You're serious?
I'm serious.
I believe the gangs are in control of Cabrini. And anytime they nickname the plaza area as a shooting gallery, then I don't think the police or CHA management is in control of the property.
That assessment comes not from some alderman or candidate running for local office, but from the latest director of the Chicago Housing Authority, Vincent Lane. We've talked to residents at different housing projects in Chicago who describe the buildings they live in or the projects that they live in as the graveyard, the DMZ, death row, Beirut.
That's right.
Accurate descriptions?
Accurate descriptions. With the one exception today, and that's at a building, 2417 West Adams.
When I got in here, I was so thrilled about the apartment. 2 bathrooms, 4 big bedrooms, roomy. I could fix it up like a home, you know.
When Evelyn Walker first moved to 2417 West Adams, she thought she'd died and gone to heaven. But that was before she found out it was called the graveyard, and with good reason.
And I mean, a lot of bullets come in. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 bullets.
Into the apartment?
It was attacked from every angle. One day it might be the back. Next day it might be the front. Sometimes it be from back and front.
What did you do to try and protect yourself?
Well, we stopped eating at the dining room table, for one thing. We got a big closet in the back. We stayed in that closet basically when shooting would occur. My children were actually trained like maybe men would be in the service to take cover, hit the floor.
Using it at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I just came over.
That was before Vince Lane and the Chicago Housing Authority announced a plan to take the projects back from the gangs, with police sweeps, security gates, and ID checks. The first step was to get rid of the squatters. Federal agents and Chicago police forcibly removed anyone who wasn't on the Housing Authority's list.
Who's Deion Wilson?
That's me.
Who's Calvin Gibson?
That's me. You want to go check the school?
It's really no different than when you and I were in school, where 2 or 3 bullies controlled the whole classroom. I proposed to turn that around. I want to give the residents the support so that they can throw the bullies out.
You've got security people all over the building now.
Well, that's for now. That's for now. But what about when security leaves?
Do you think security's going to leave?
I think security is going to leave eventually.
I admire your confidence, but I think you need to note that you are the 8th person to have this job in the last 5 years.
There are a lot of employees, when I got here, said I wouldn't last 3 months.
How long have you been here?
6 months.
That was in December, and Vince Lane is still there. But there are some, including the Urban League and the Mayor's Advisory Council, who believe the solution to high-rise ghettos like Cabrini-Green may be to level them. The only hope for kids like Johnny Shannon, escape.
What are you going to do if the gangbangers come up to you and say, we want you to join?
I'll tell them no.
What if they insist?
I'll still tell them no. I won't join.
Would you like to live somewhere else?
Yes,
Where would you like to live?
in Beverly Hills.
In Beverly Hills. Why in Beverly Hills?
Because it's not like no violence.
There are kids that are savable in the Cabrini-Green area who want to get out of the gangs, but they say, what do I do? Where do I go? You got to have a dream to turn your life around, to shoot for something. And how are you going to dream if you haven't seen anything?
Just had a gang fight between members of the 500 West Oak Building and the 11 and 17 Upper Main.
Hey, what up? It's your boy Popalot, Mobb, Ties. On our way back to the Chi with it. Cabrini-Green to be exact. All my real G's from the Chi. Y'all niggas get in the comment box. Got another request from my Chi-Town niggas. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all niggas fucking with the G's. No bullshit. When we did the story on Angelo Roberts, a lot of people was in the comment box multiple times. Not even on that story. Like, hey, need to talk about my man Big Chuck from Cabrini-Green. And that's going to be Chuck Dorsey. From my research, looks like he was killed in his own tavern that he ran. And this was back when the notorious Cabrini-Green houses was up. Anybody that didn't know about Cabrini-Green before this, I know y'all seen that intro video. That shit was crazy. That's one of the shits that stick out my head. I'm not even from Chi, but that's one of the shits that stick out my head that I remember growing up. Shit like that. Zodiac Killer. And a bunch of just other wild shit at the time. Hurricane Gloria. Just random shit. But yeah, that shit was just like a notorious projects. I just seen that shit on TV, seen documents, I seen some, like, I remember seeing something when I was younger about the mayor tried to move into Cabrini-Green just to try to show that it wasn't that bad, or to try to, I don't know, shed light on the public housing situation in Chicago. But now that I'm older and with a lot of the shit going on, gentrification and some of the shit that I've seen as far as my research on Big Chuck and Cabrini-Green, the history of it, a lot of people saying that that was just a ploy where she can show that, hey, this shit is out of control. We need to remodel. Because now with Cabrini-Green stands, they put some, from what my understanding, I haven't been, but they put some low income housing. They put some, I guess, medium, like townhouses, and some $1 million houses and shit. So usually in a situation like that, that shit going on in my city right now, anybody from Bad News, VA, downtown East End, know that they brought up all of the area, and that shit seems like it's just going on worldwide, in America right now. So I don't know what that shit is about, but I ain't gonna give up the whole story. We about to cover Big Chuck Dorsey. It's your boy Popalot, Mobb Ties. Charles Big Chuck Dorsey was in a lucrative but dangerous business. As the leader of the Gangster Disciple street gang in Cabrini-Green, Dorsey, 26, had controlled the drug trade in the Northside public housing development for the last 4 or 5 years, according to family members and police. During that time, Dorsey, who earned his nickname because of his 6-foot-tall, 336-pound frame, had suffered gunshot wounds 4 or 5 times. He always said that he was terrified that they were going to come at him someday, said Onique Walker, Dorsey's girlfriend of 8 years. He always told me he was going to resign because he couldn't deal with it. But Dorsey didn't resign, and his lifestyle caught up with him Monday afternoon. He had stopped by Ruby's Lounge and Liquors at 4458 West Harrison Street about 2 p.m. to check on the progress of the tavern's renovation. Authorities said Dorsey had purchased the bar about 6 months ago as an investment for his 3 children and because he wanted to do something different with his life, Walker said. When he realized that the round-the-clock security that was supposed to be in place at the bar was lacking, he called his family to express concern, said the police and his sister, Onita Dorsey. But a short time later, 2 masked men carrying handguns kicked in the side door of the bar, said Commander Donald Hembring of the Chicago Police Department's Gang Investigation Unit. Hildring said that the intruders looked over the construction workers working on the bar, apparently searching for Dorsey. Dorsey got up from a chair, walked up to one of the intruders, and wrapped him in a bear hug, Hembring said. During the subsequent struggle, Dorsey was shot and fell to the floor. The gunman shot him 7 more times before fleeing, Hildring said. Although the bar is in an area controlled by the rival vice lords, Hildring said the absence of Dorsey's normal bodyguard detail at the site led investigators to suspect he was a victim of turmoil within the Gangster Disciples in the wake of last summer's indictments of other top leaders. The Gangster Disciples gang is described by police as the city's largest street gang and led by Larry Hoover. Although he has been in prison for years on a murder conviction, Dorsey was a lifelong resident of the Cabrini complex. He was the only Disciple board member who wasn't indicted last year, and some investigators believe that he might attracted the anger of other members from the gang's Southside home turf. Marion Stamps, a Cabrini area community activist, praised Dorsey's efforts during the last 2 years to reduce the number of gang-related shootings there. I hope whoever takes his place will be as committed to the peace process as he was, she said.